Greetings, everyone. This is not a part of the typical waves, but I recently just received this, and I figured I might as well just make an actual, authentic unboxing, as I have yet to open this up. So I got on top of my dice case, which is on top of my Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 3rd Edition box set, which also has not ever been opened. And I'll probably will do that video right around the time I get to 500 or 1,000 subscribers. People haven't quite voted or decided yet in which way they prefer. But anyways, just to prove the point that this has yet to have been opened, back here, you can see this is in HD. You can see that this has yet to been pulled. This little tab up here. Which is how the box is designed to open up. So what you do is when you open this up, you pull this little strip out, like so. And now I have an end that is ripped off. Don't know if I want to save that or throw that away. And then you open the end here. And then there's this other sheet right here, this other panel right here that opens out. And now what we can see here is there's a tab here on the top and bottom that pull out. And what we got here is now the Book of Many Things, as well as the Deck of Many Things box. Note that there seems to be a spacer up here. So when I go to pull the Book of Many Things out, there's this little goofy piece of cardboard spacer that sits in the top of the box, because the book is not quite as tall as the box itself. So that's kind of weird that they simply didn't decide to make this box slightly smaller. Instead, they have a little spacer there just so you can have the book in the box. And then we pull this guy out right here. And there's also, apparently, they made the decision of having another spacer right here that is taped onto the backside here. So they're trying to put quality into that, but then they had to fill little spaces with little pieces of cardboard because they didn't quite decide that they should have made this box a smidgen shorter and a smidgen wider for whatever reason. But anyways, this is inside of its own sleeve. So a sleeve inside of a sleeve. So you have a sleeve here. Talk about a lot of cardboard material that's not actually used for the thing. But you know, there's this whole weird thing where people have they have the inherent joy of unpackaging a thing that has multiple layers, as it's sort of this cathartic sense of unveiling something, or they have the sense of acquisition by seeing something being opened up. But so you see here, you have this lid right here. There's nothing special on the back side. It's kind of like a DVD case or an old style case book. But you have this goblin up here dealing out the cards. You have this pull tab here, pull ribbon that lifts up this little booklet. I do believe this is the card reference guide. Yeah, this is the card reference guide. So this is your instruction booklet on how to use these cards specifically. And we open it up to confirm that. We got D&D Studio credits. We have table of contents, the Deck of Many Things, customizing your deck. That's kind of terrible. Card meanings, and much more, and a bunch of artwork. Layouts for your Deck of Many Things when you want to set it down for fortune telling or spreading for your spreads. So you want to do fortune telling with these cards, you can go ahead and do so for the Deck of Many Things. Various spreads for or various games if you want to. And then it goes over reading the cards, what the meanings are, upright position, creature or trap, place, and so forth. Aberration. And the pages are slightly sticky. Definitely a new book smell. So you got aberration, balance, beast, weird beast. He's a unicorn rabbit. It shouldn't technically be a beast. It should be a mythical creature. Or mythical beast. You got book, bridge. Each one of these, you got campfire. You have upright meaning and then reversed meaning, so when it's upside down. Cave. Celestial. Comet. The artwork is actually quite good in here. Crossroads, Donjon, which is French for dungeon. Door, dragon. We got red dragon here. Skipped a page. Got elemental. Irianu. It's kind of weird that she chose to make that particular Medusa not evil, because that happens to be the most evil Medusa there was. That's not the classic Medusa, the victim one from the Poseidon myth, but a different Medusa that actually was denoted as being exceedingly twisted and violent. So it's kind of weird that they made that decision. Flames, Fool, Gem, Giant. They use a troll for the giant. Humanoid. They use kobolds for humanoids. Jester. Key. Knight. Lance on a rack. I believe that's a reference to the Dragon Lance. Mage. Map. Maze. Mine. Monstrosity, which is an owlbear. That's rather fun. Moon. Ooze. Path. Pit. Plant. Priest. Got a dwarf priest. That's kind of standard. Prisoner. Puzzle. Ring. Rogue. Ruin. Sage. Shield. Ship. Skull. Staff. Stairway. Star. Statue. Sun. Talons. Tavern. Temple. Throne. Tomb. Tower. Tree. Undead. Void. Warrior. And Well. And that's the end of that. And then I'm going to put that book down and then flip this guy up. You see here that you have 3 different decks in here. To note that, as I said before, this box is slightly taller than the main book, but not as wide. They could have easily made this box just a little bit wider and trimmed off, made this slightly narrower, not as tall. So you wouldn't have to have wasted extra cardboard or attaching fillers in there. These decks, that's a little warped. So they're still on the warped side. Documented warping. You see that? Look at my... You see that it's warped. You literally saw me open this box completely brand new. So they're warped. Slight inconsistency in cut. you look at the cards, you see they're slightly off. In got some cards that are slightly wider. You got I straighten out one end, and you can see that it's so some of the cards are slightly wider than the main. Yet again, stand these up on an edge here, and it's not consistent. Some of them seem to be a little bit wider. They're uneven, a little just on the warped side. They're like twisting, like they had some humidity or something, and it's causing them to actually warp a little bit. But it seems to be all three. There's one. This one right here is not so bad. It's not as warped as the other two, but the other two are fairly warped or twisted. Like a board that got a little too much moisture. This one happens to be the worst one, and it's the most twisted. So, however, the artwork is actually quite nice. I'm going to take the bands off of this one because it's twisted. It's actually distorted on the band, and it's actually tight. So you got balance. I do like the gold edge. Paizo went with a silver edge on theirs. I have that somewhere around here. These are also the other tarot deck that Wizards of the Coast released through another company. So they look like they're mostly centered. In the center on the cut. Yet again, the fact that they chose to make this Medusa, there's three Gorgons in myth. There's Medusa, which was the one that got in a relationship with, depending on the version of the legend, there's ones where it was consensual, and then there was other ones where it was not consensual with Poseidon. And she was the one that got decapitated by Perseus. And then you have this one, Eros, which was actually exceedingly sadistic and evil. And there at no point was described as a good person. She was actually horrible. Horrifyingly horrible. If you look up her original legend. So I find it weird that they chose to make her good and not actual Medusa. It's as if the writer didn't understand the difference between different Medusas and just simply decided that the name was nice. So, yet again, it seems to be mostly center. It seems to be thicker on this side on the top and thinner on this side on the left of that card, of the Fates. Yet again, the cards are still fairly warped, as you can see. So, they don't sit flat on anything. This happens to be a set I got from Amazon. I'm going to put it back in the little sleeve. It was a pain in the butt to get it off the sleeve because it was distorted. Incidentally, having to put it on and off the sleeve is going to eventually damage this gold edge here over time. So, you know. I'm going to put them back in the box. Mind. Let's see here. Aberration. So it should be AB left to right. In the box, the cards are clearly not... they could have been bigger or smaller. But anyways, there's a lot of waste space here and here on the top. A little less here. So I guess if they made this a little narrower this way, it would have been less space here. And they made it way there, it would have been way more waste. Of course, they could have shrunk it. They could have took this whole box and shrunk it down. So it wouldn't have so much wasted material in it. And then that corner is lifting off the corner here. So that corner is separating, as well as this corner on the box. So there you go. But anyways, the book is in good condition. The cards are a little warped and seem to be slightly miscut. Slightly, as in it's really hard to tell unless you really look at it. But the warping is obvious. You can really obviously see that they're warped. So I'm going to put this box back in its sleeve. And then go back to this book that comes in it, the Book of Many Things. This is actually fairly thin. It feels like it's about the size of... it's 192, which is the same size as Adventurer's Guide, Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. I like to use that as a point of reference, or it's roughly the size of all three Spelljammer books combined. You got this little troublesome tricksy goblin. I do believe it's Nilbog. And then you have the special artwork, and then the table of contents is actually quite serviceable in its organization, as it's all its chapters. It actually comes out to 22 chapters, which is interesting that they chose to divide it up like that. You got master tables and sidebars after that, 2 appendixes. Chapter 1 is the Fool. Chapter 2 is Key. Chapter 3 is Balance. Chapter 4 is Puzzle. Chapter 5 is Gem. Chapter 6 is Rogue. Chapter 7 is Sage. Chapter 8 is Fates. Chapter 9 is Night. Chapter 10 is Sun. Chapter 11 is Moon. Chapter 12 is Comet. Chapter 13 is Star. Chapter 14 is Jester. Chapter 15 is Throne. Chapter 16 is Ruin. Chapter 17 is Donjon. Chapter 18 is Void. Chapter 19 is Skull. And Chapter 20 is Flames. Chapter 21 is Talons. And Chapter 22 is Iriel. You have Chapter 1, which is the Fool. Simple piece of artwork using the card art yet again. And then it basically goes over basic information on this book, basically. I do not personally care for the fact that they chose to use the name of cards for each chapter, because that obscures exactly the function of each chapter is. But basically, this is the chapter of the Fool is weirdly enough the chapter that is basically the introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. It basically has an information section on 5th edition, like the history of a bit of 5th edition, 4th edition, 3rd edition, Dungeons and Dragons magazine, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, history of the Deck of Many Things, and throughout the various things. It goes over the information in the chapters, so it's an introduction to the basic past history between the editions of the Deck of Many Things, as well as how the book is organized. And as you see in my very quick explanation, we are already to chapter 2. So each chapter is actually quite small. You have some artwork here spread out, preparing to use the Deck of Many Things, the deck and play, introduction to the deck, all the different cards in the deck listed out, adding to the deck. And then you go right to chapter 3. Here's chapter 3, the balance. And this book basically goes through a good chunk of it as what I can see as how to use the history of the deck, how to use the deck, and and how to balance the usage of the deck a little bit here and there. Interestingly enough, that they use the deck for doing random tables for encounters here, and they have made the decision of using playing cards here. This is actually weirdly counter the concept of the deck, because they're using aces, kings, queens, and various suits and styles. See here. And the playing card structure is a 52 card deck. So they don't even include that information on the Deck of Many Things. So weirdly enough, they have a table here for regular playing cards. But the Deck of Many Things is 66 cards, not 52 cards. So their tables are set up specifically for regular playing cards, a 52 deck with regular suits. Yet the Deck of Many Things doesn't have the suits on it, and it's not a 52 card deck. So you have this weird anomaly in design. Not to mention it doesn't use all 52 cards on any of these tables, let alone the 66 cards. We're on chapter 4, puzzles. So you got puzzles now for the Deck of Many Things. Various tables. So we're seeing this weird disconnect between the actual Deck of Many Things and how it's organized and structured and what's in the book already. And you have a section on various puzzles here that your characters can do. You got a section on gem, which is basically a set of treasure tables for the Deck of Many Things. Because weirdly enough, this book seems to be, right off the bat, a revised Dungeon Master's Guide, but very thinly structured, thinly built as a revised Dungeon Master's Guide. And now you have, in the gem section, magic items for the Deck of Many Things. So you have a whole new magic item section for the Deck of Many Things. And then it's done and over with in a snap. And then we're right on to the Rogue, which has diamonds for this Deck of Miscellany table. Just diamonds and clubs and some spades. So you got a few clubs and a few spades. So you had to take a 52 card deck, not the Deck of Many Things, and pick out a bunch of cards. You got some diamonds, some hearts, some clubs, and some spades, for whatever crazy reason. You know, honestly, these tables actually they have here. They have rods for clubs, the diamonds are coins, the hearts are cups, and the spades are swords. And the weird thing is that happens to line up with the structure for the Hero deck from Paizo Publish. Give me a moment here. I'm gonna there's a disconnect here. Fucks up again. So here we go, back to the Hero deck. Oh, it's upside down. Okay, this is the Hero deck from Paizo Publishing. The gentleman that also worked on the Deck of Many Things and the Book of Many Things also worked on this product right here, which is actually a 54 card set. In this set, I've also really simple, cheap made book. You have instructions for the Deck of Many. By the way, I said cheap because I'm not trying to be mean here, but okay. Now this is called a rabbit hole situation, where someone has such a variety of stuff like me that I could not just go over here and grab this tarot deck box that was produced by a third-party company, Clarkson Potter Publishers, to show you that, hey, there is this nice little tarot deck that was made by a third-party company. You can use this instead of your regular Deck of Many Things, and it comes with a nice book. And I did a video on that on the channel sometimes back. It's slightly different form factor from an actual proper tarot deck. But then I also have the Shadowrun 6th edition, 6th World Tarot Deck Arcanist Edition. And when I said the Hero deck from Pathfinder it's a really nice deck. No silver. I thought it was silver for 5 seconds. I forgot. Actually, this maybe I mixed things up. Maybe this. No, it's just regular card edge. But anyways, nope. Actually, you know what? I knew one of these had silver edges. I know which one it is now. This is what happens when you have tons and tons of stuff. But anyways, the Hero deck actually does... This is really fudged up. Okay, the Hero deck actually does have... This is the Hero deck for Paizo Publishing. Actually does have... books, stars, keys, crowns, stuff like that. But this right here is the 6-World Terror deck. This box opens up really nice. It's a magnetic clasp. It has this beautiful little booklet. This is actually in a really efficient design for a box because it wastes very little material. It opens up, it opens flat to a table. You can actually fold this under like that. And then you have this nice little color booklet that goes through all the important information you need to use this deck. And then in the box has these beautiful, massive cards. I'm not joking. Massive cards with a silver edge. So, give me a moment here. I'm going to totally fudge the snot out of Wizards of the Coast and make it make a point. Okay, I'm gonna open this box back up. Oh my goodness, I got too much crap open now. And get the cards back out. So here is the really nice cards for Wizards of the Coast. That's warped. Here is the cards. By the way, these are also warped as well. But look how you got these this really big cards from Catalyst Games Lab, Silver Edge, big beautiful artwork, beautiful backside on the card, and then I'm gonna put those back in that box. So I got, that really nice thing, and then you have these little cards from Wizards of the Coast. Plain relatively basic geometric background, some pretty decent artwork on the front. So you got quality size comparison. This really small, efficient size book box for the cards. Nice ribbon right here that happens to cover under the cards, with a full color book, with a flip over lid with a magnetic clasp that's actually quite nice. And then you have Wizards of the Coast, which has this nice big book, which actually is really nice compared to even the Hero deck from Paizo. But you only have one ribbon under one pack of the cards. The inside of the box is mostly empty. You have a lot of wasted material here, just for the cards. And they're not nearly as high quality as the Shadowrun 6th edition World cards. Not to mention, the lid is non-magnetic clasp. These cards for Shadowrun, I don't have an MSRP on those. I will have a link to those in the video when I do the review, overview of those cards. But yet again, you have this really fun situation of me pulling everything out as I cross-reference three different tarot style-ish decks the one that came earlier on for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the Hero deck, and the Tarot deck for the Shadowrun 6th world. So there you go. I'll put those right back there. And put that back down. So we had to like just run that over. So you have spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs, which are renamed swords, cups, coins, rods, which is very much the same concept that's used in here, except they use shields and use different other terms and symbols in it. Then you happen to have the this is the Rogues chapter right here, which goes over various assassins, rogues, and various other enemies that you might deal with as a character. And then right from there, after we're just done with like 4 of those, we go into Sage, which has more information on the magic cards and various other things. Balance, Comet, Donjon, Reaper Spirit. Yet again, they're spreading creatures out through the entire book, which is not a very good thing to do, because that's annoying to hunt all that crap down unless you use D&D Beyond, in which case it's easier. But D&D Beyond is also a piece of crap as you type in any word and everything that has that word that occurs on it will pop up unless you misspell the word, in which case nothing comes up. So, how delightful. You can just misspell it by a very mild degree and nothing pops up. You got more magic items and supernatural gifts. Some supernatural gifts for your game. So you got all this stuff spread out through the book, weirdly in different places. Then you have the Knight, which you actually have more items, some various armors, and melee weapons. This is and then you have another creature here, a Solar Bastion Knight. This is one of those cases where this book is nice to read through the book, but as a game master who needs to look up stuff, this book is annoying as heck. You absolutely need to... If it wasn't for the fact that the book is small, and just look at the table of contents here. You're going to have to do a lot of inferring to figure out. We got Chapter 11, Moonlight Stalkers, Boss Aquatar, or Boss Delior, Deck Defender, Heroes. Okay, Chapter 9 here. Magic items, Heroes of Destiny, drawing the Knight card, Deck Defender. That's it. So you have to literally read through this entire book and then memorize exactly where each and everything you want to use in this book is, because the table of contents is sufficiently under quality for the organization of the book, because a lot of stuff is just wedged in here and there, and it doesn't even come up in the table of contents. So, and then you have Sir Jared here, which is not in the table of contents. You have creatures spread throughout the entire book. That's a bad. And they're not mentioned in the table of contents, which is also bad. You got this guy and this guy that's mentioned in the table of contents for the Moon chapter. So I think we've Moonstalker Guildhall, which is not mentioned in the chapter in the table of contents. So double check that. Chapter 9, the Moonstalkers, Boss Augustus, Boss Delor. Well, Moonstalker Guildhall is actually mentioned in there. Using the Moonstalkers in your campaign, which is here. Some of the stuff is not mentioned in the table of contents, and some of it is, which is annoying. And then they mention it sometimes. So, This is actually looking like it's that really annoying, dumb categorization of things using non-intuitive chapter names, negative, spreading creatures throughout the entire book, a negative, spreading magic items and items throughout the entire book, negative, failure to cover everything that's in the table, have everything in the table of contents when you do the previous goofball things, which is not good. The artwork is pretty decent overall. I do say that. You do have every so many pages there is going to be at least a piece of artwork. I do like the fact that they bolden some of the words quite well. But the whole thing, that's where they make a point. Oh, and also they use they use a standard 52 card playing card deck as the standard for this, when the deck of many things is now 66 cards, which contains no information as such. It doesn't have spades, it doesn't have diamonds, it doesn't have clubs, and it doesn't have hearts on the cards. And there's no numbers for those on the card, so you can't use the table properly to that. You have to go to the conversion table relating the hearts and stars to the actual cards. So you have to use one table to convert to another table. Dear goodness. There's Odalwin. And another dragon here. So you got a recap, a little splash of the Fade Light here. Oh, so there you go. So there's terrible organization. I'm going to just skip. We got more creatures in the back of the book. Varying degrees of artwork, different qualities and forms. In the very back of the book, you have more creatures. I'm checking for the index. I'm going to the index. I'm seeing if there's an index in this book. There is absolutely no index in this book. So they botched organization of the book. They use non-intuitive chapters. They spread monsters through the entire book. They spread character options through the entire book. Or mostly there's in the 2 or 3 chapters that are near each other that have most of the character options. They did a shit job of organizing this book. They went with a theme, and they stuck with that theme, and they didn't think through the implications of that theme on the structure of the book. There is some interesting creatures in the book. There's some really neat items in the book. There's some other neat stuff here and there. You have to do some various conversions for things. You have to convert a 52 card deck color suite to the deck of many things through a table, which seemed to have been incomplete and ineffective to doing so. It's a 66 deck of cards that's based off a 52 card deck system. It probably could have used some more baking with more experienced people in design and such. There is a bunch of, for the Game Master, there is some cool magic items in this book, and there's some cool creatures in this book. It's just, they're spread throughout the entire book. In a weird way, the fact that it's 192 pages is actually a benefit, because that's fewer pages to flip through just to get to the good stuff that you want to use. There's some interesting stuff in the decks. In the deck, the book here. But, it's one of those weird things where you might use it at some point in time, but you really don't have a whole lot of reason to use it. So this is one of those things where you just buy a thing, and the stuff that you really are going to use more regularly could have been organized way better. And you have to read through most of the table of contents just to figure out where some of the stuff is, because there is no intuitive naming to any of the chapters. Let me think here. Yeah, there's this, my good sirs and guys and gals, might actually be a wee tweet of the Spelljammer situation in a way. This set is in that territory of this is a really neat thing, but there's instead of Spelljammer, which was super basic, and you spent a lot of money to buy a thing that didn't give you a whole lot. By the way, the box already teared. They're trying to put all the stuff back in. And it's a pain in the butt to put back in because... Yes, got it. No. Oh. Yeah, I kind of fudged that. But anyways, this is one of those situations I had to put that sleeve back on. Where they're wasteful with materials, there wasn't quite enough forethought going through design, organizing the book. So you're digging through the book, trying to find the information you want to use, and yet the information you want to use is just spread through the entire thing. This is a 2.75. It's a rather expensive box. Contains warped cards that seem to be slightly off-cut. I mean slightly off-cut, it's minor, but they're warped, definitely. They seem to vary slightly in size. I mean slightly because it's hard to notice, but it's easy once you pick them up and touch them that they didn't get cut consistently to the exact same size. They are in a 16th off of each other in size. And yeah. So there you go. This is pretty much this is usable. You can use it. It's just not organized very well. You have to do a bunch of page flipping to do conversion between the tables because for whatever strange reason they used one system for the tables, which is not used for the cards themselves. It's not on the card, so you have to use a table to convert to a table to use the cards when you could just simply use a 52 card deck that is not a 52 card playing deck, which is not included. However, they don't use all the cards from the 52 card deck. They use like 3 or 4 hearts, they use 3 or 4 spades, they use like 3 or 4 or more or diamonds or clubs in each table. So you have like 10 to 20 options on each table for the random roll tables that are aligned to different cards in a 52 card playing deck. the people that designed this are idiots. This is one of those situations, if you are in a hurry and you want something to help you out, this thing is just sufficiently badly organized that it actually wastes your time and slows your games down. So a 2.75 is being nice. The best thing is you got nice magic items, you got some more magic items, more equipment, you got more creatures, you got a few more puzzles and mechanics in the regular book. The deck book is neat. You can use that for various other things. This is kind of like a weird, fucked up situation where they took two different products that probably should have never been themed into the same thing, and then they smashed them together into the same thing, and then they converted it so the two products align to each other in theme. But in doing so, they degraded one of them, the better of the two, to a lower quality item. So the book, if they fix the table of contents or put a table index in it that referenced everything in there, that would be good. That would have came towards at least making it okay. If they took all the creatures and all the items and just separated them out into their different sections, that would have been good for the book. And that would have actually brought the book up from that 2.75 territory to like a 3.5 territory as a book. The Deck of Many Things is another situation where it's like, oh, it's a 52 card deck, which they threw a few extra cards into. And you could use it as in the book itself, and it works out perfectly fine. So that's like a 3-star item right there. But the fact that these seem to be two different products at one point in time, and then for whatever stupid reason they decide, you know what, these two things might not sell super well, so we're going to stick them together, and we're going to take the book, the Book of Many Things, and we're going to adjust it to make it match up thematically wise to the Deck of Many Things that's included in this box. And by doing that, they degraded the Book of Many Things to a lower quality because they had to rename a whole bunch of stuff and reorganize. And they had some tables, but they threw in a card theme into those tables. And yet at the same time, by throwing in the card theme, not having like all 66 cards in the random tables, but having 3 or 4 of this card suit, 3 or 4 of that card suit, 3 or 4 of that card suit, you resulted in having to include a conversion table to convert that to that. And then they also, we need to like throw a few chapters in this book just to tie it into the Deck of Many Things that's included in this box. So somewhere, somehow, they kind of fudged up a whole bunch of things, and in the end result, it is an inferior product for that. And furthermore, the same person that worked on, there's two main people that worked on this thing, Diarmates and that one other guy, and the other guy worked on the Hero deck, which is a superior product overall, magnetic clasp. I've already talked about that. The standard book is kind of basic paper, but you still have a decent set of cards that you can use. It's a little on the big side, but it's actually still in a decent dealable range. So you get this weird case where you got Paizo with the big ass freaking books, and people not wanting to carry around the big ass books, making a more form factor friendly deck. And then you have Wizards of the Coast that does this. And this is basically a premium shelf decoration product where you stick it on the shelf. You don't actually use it. You take the deck of many things and you open the box and you put it on the shelf to display the deck of many things in your room, which is just stupid. And maybe take the book of many things and sit off the side in your shelf, maybe to be used every so often. The deck of many things box is a pain in the butt. There isn't a way of transporting those cards unless you want to throw them into a Ziploc bag. You throw the deck of many things into a Ziploc bag. So you're not even carrying around the big box that the deck of many things comes in. But if you decide you're some kind of weirdo that wants to carry around, this is actually a 2.5 product. I was being too generous with a 2.75. It's 2.5. This is reasonable form factor for a deck of cards. This is actually superior to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Hero deck. Callus Game Labs did an amazing job with this. This is also, as I said, magnetic clasp. Awesome lid that folds away. It's thick cardboard, so it's quite durable. It is paneled, so it's fairly reinforced too. And you have really big, nice cards that are easy to see and use in front of various people. So there you go. And then it has really nice artwork. And at some point I'm going to do a dedicated video to that. But anyways, it's just one of those messed up situations where Wizards of the Coast gets last place in a competition where it has the money to completely decimate everyone else. And weirdly enough, the company they employed to make the Dungeons and Dragons Tarot deck beat them out as well. So the company that did the Dungeons and Dragons Tarot deck, which is a third-party company, beats them out still in just for a deck. And then they compromised a book, trying to fit it into the deck. So you have a stupid situation where they took two different products and just smashed them together, and then they modified the book to the detriment of the book. Okay, this has been long enough. So Wizards of the Coast needs to be ashamed of screwing shit up again. Not to mention they got caught using AI artwork not once, not twice, but thrice already. And got into a fight with a bunch of people online over, no, it's not AI artwork. Well, actually, it was AI artwork from a vendor. So I'm not such a hateful person towards AI artwork. I understand how it operates. I'm a classical media artist myself. I paint, I draw, I do sculptures, or did at one point in time, for a period of years, but I'm too busy with too many other things to actually get back into it. But the book has good stuff in it. The problem is you end up having to buy the deck with the book, or buy the deck with the book, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want, you don't really care for. You don't have the option of buying one or the other. And then the box for the deck is stupidly big as a display box. It's not practical for transporting anywhere. So you end up with a situation where, let's do a Spelljammer campaign at a place. I'm going to have to transport the Spelljammer box set, as well as, if I want to use this, transport this. That is a whole lot more hauling around of heavy stuff, when you in fact could just have had the deck be about a box this big. So and I got a big ass bag. I'm fairly strong. I work in the metals recycling industry. I can easily pick up 150 pounds with not too much difficulty, as long as I got a handle on it to get a good grip on it. But seriously, carrying around 300 pounds of books is a pain in the butt. So if, for whatever strange reason, Wizards of the Coast is trying to make their shit bulkier and more wasteful just to sell D&D Beyond even better. Well, why not just screw it and just go and do something else entirely different? So there you go. Or go with the OSR, which all the books are very small and very easily digestible, and the quality is ever expanding, and the variety is ever expanding, and the quality is ever improving. There you go. So thank you very much for watching. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, magnificent month. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, share, add to playlists, and whatever you want to do. So see you again.